You know what truly gets under your skin? When changes come down to your hard-earned Social Security benefits, and you are just expected to figure it all out on your own. Well, there are some significant developments that have just emerged, and there is no sense in sugarcoating any of this. What is happening right now could directly impact your monthly check, and you need to understand exactly what is going on before it is too late. Having spent decades helping people take control of their finances, I can tell you that the Social Security Administration has just rolled out changes that are already in effect. We are talking about real adjustments to the dollars in your pocket, modifications to how benefits are calculated. And yes, there is a whole conversation swirling about additional payments that has people from coast to coast picking up the phone, asking the same urgent question. What does this actually mean for me? Here is the deal. While Washington talks in circles, your retirement income is sitting in the balance. The latest modifications are not just bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo. They are affecting cost of living calculations, eligibility thresholds, and how your benefits interact with other income sources. And that stimulus conversation everyone is having? We desperately need to separate fact from fiction because misinformation is running wild, and people are making financial decisions based on rumors instead of reality. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and let me walk you through what is actually happening here. There is so much noise out there that it is hard to hear the truth. I have been listening to people all week who are confused, worried, and frankly tired of being left in the dark about their own money. And I get it. When you have worked 40 or 50 years of your life paying into this system with every single paycheck, you deserve to know exactly what is changing and how it affects you. So, let me break this down in plain English, the way I wish somebody would have explained it to my own parents when they were navigating this maze. First things first, let us talk about what actually went into effect. The Social Security Administration has implemented adjustments that directly impact how benefits are being distributed moving forward. Now, I know you have seen headlines screaming about $2,000 payments, and your neighbor probably told you their cousin's friend got some kind of check in the mail, but here is what you need to understand. The government does not just hand out money without a specific framework, and that framework has rules, eligibility requirements, and timelines that most people do not take the time to understand. The reality is that these changes are tied to very specific circumstances, and not everyone is going to see the same impact. Some of you are going to benefit significantly. Some of you might see modest changes, and some of you will not see any change at all. But you need to know where you stand. And that is what we are going to figure out together right now. Let me tell you something about how Social Security actually works, because I think a lot of folks have forgotten the basics. And when you forget the basics, you cannot understand the changes. Social Security was never designed to be your entire retirement income. It was designed to be a safety net, a foundation that you build upon with your own savings, your own investments, your own planning. But somewhere along the way, millions of Americans started treating it like a pension, like it was going to carry them through their golden years without any other preparation. And that is a dangerous mindset. When I see people who are entirely dependent on Social Security, it breaks my heart because they are one policy change away from financial stress. And that is exactly why what is happening right now matters so much. The modifications that took effect involve recalculations in how cost of living adjustments are being applied to existing benefits. Now, you might be thinking, we already got our COLA increase at the beginning of the year. What are you talking about? And you are right, you did. But what is happening now is a reconciliation process for certain beneficiaries who fell into specific categories that were not properly accounted for in the initial rollout. The Social Security Administration has identified gaps in how benefits were calculated for people who started receiving payments during certain transition periods, people who had concurrent income from specific sources, and people whose spousal benefits were affected by changes in the earnings record of their partner. These are not small groups. We are talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of people who have been getting slightly less than they were entitled to, and now the system is correcting that error. And here is where the $2,000 figure comes into play, and why you need to be careful about how you interpret what you are hearing. Some beneficiaries who fall into these correction categories are going to receive retroactive payments to make up for the underpayment they have been experiencing. For some people, that retroactive amount could be around $2,000, depending on how long the underpayment has been happening and what their benefit amount is. But this is not a stimulus check. This is not the government saying, "Here is $2,000, go buy yourself something nice." This is the government saying, "We messed up your calculation and we owe you the difference." There is a massive distinction there, and the headlines are not making that clear. The media loves to use words like stimulus because it gets clicks, it gets views, it gets people excited or angry or scared, and all of those emotions drive engagement. But you and I are sitting here having a real conversation about real money, and I am not interested in clickbait. I am interested in the truth. Now, let me talk to you about who is actually eligible for these adjustments, because this is where the rubber meets the road. If you started receiving Social Security benefits between certain months of last year, and you also had earnings from a part-time job or self-employment that pushed you into a specific income bracket, there is a calculation that determines how much of your benefit should be withheld based on the earnings test. The problem is that the system was applying an older formula to some people instead of the updated one, which means some of you were having too much withheld from your checks. The correction process is now refunding that overwithholding, and depending on your situation, that refund could be substantial. If you are married and your spouse passed away recently, and you transitioned from your own benefit to a survivor benefit, there is another set of calculations that needed updating. And those corrections are happening now too. And if you have been receiving disability benefits that converted to retirement benefits when you hit full retirement age, there is yet another category of adjustments being made. Here is what I want you to do right now, and I am being very serious about this. I want you to go find your Social Security statements from the last year, pull out every single one of them, line them up, and look at the benefit amount you have been receiving each month. Has it been consistent? Have you noticed any unexplained fluctuations? Have you received any letters from the Social Security Administration that you maybe did not fully understand and just filed away? Because those letters matter. The government has been sending out notifications about these changes, but they are written in language that requires a law degree and an accounting background to decipher, and most people just glance at them and assume everything is fine. But if you are one of the people affected by these corrections, there should be documentation explaining what is happening, when the adjustment will occur, and how much you can expect to receive. Let me also address something that has been floating around on social media and in various news reports, and that is this idea that there is some kind of new stimulus program specifically for seniors. I need to be crystal clear with you. As of right now, there is no new federal stimulus program that is sending out $2,000 checks to everyone on Social Security. What you are seeing is a combination of these correction payments I have been explaining, some state-level programs that have their own eligibility criteria, and a whole lot of confusion and misinformation. Some states are issuing their own relief payments to residents based on state budget surpluses or specific legislative initiatives. And if you happen to live in one of those states and you happen to be a Social Security recipient, you might receive a payment that has nothing to do with federal Social Security changes. But people are conflating these things, mixing them together, and coming to conclusions that just are not accurate. You know what bothers me most about all of this? It is that the people who need this information the most are the ones being targeted by scammers who take advantage of the confusion. I cannot tell you how many stories I have heard in the last week alone about seniors getting phone calls from someone claiming to be from the Social Security Administration, telling them they need to verify their information to receive their new payment, and then stealing their identity or their bank account information. Listen to me very carefully. The Social Security Administration will never call you out of the blue asking for your personal information. They will never demand immediate payment over the phone. They will never threaten you with arrest if you do not comply with their requests. If you get a call like that, hang up. If you get an email like that, delete it. If you get a text message like that, block the number. The only way you should be communicating with Social Security about your benefits is by calling them directly at their official number, by visiting your local office in person, or by accessing your account through the official government website. Now, let us talk about what you should actually do with any additional money you receive, whether it is a correction payment, a retroactive adjustment, or any other benefit increase. Because here is the thing, getting an unexpected chunk of money is a test of your financial discipline, and I have seen too many people fail that test. Your first instinct might be to treat yourself, to go on that trip you have been putting off, to buy that thing you have been wanting, to give money to your kids or grandkids. And look, I am not saying you cannot do any of those things, but I am saying you need to be strategic. If you receive $2,000 or any amount as a correction payment, the first thing you should do is make sure your emergency fund is solid. Do you have at least $1,000 set aside for unexpected expenses? If not, that money needs to go there first. Do you have any high-interest debt? Any credit card balances that are eating you alive with interest charges every month? That money should go toward knocking out that debt because the return on investment of paying off 18% interest is better than anything else you could possibly do with that money. And here is something else I want you to think about. If your monthly Social Security benefit has increased because of these corrections, that is recurring money. That is money you are going to see every single month moving forward, and that changes your budget. This is an opportunity to get ahead, to build a cushion, to prepare for the expenses you know are coming down the road. Maybe your car is getting older and you know you are going to need to replace it in the next couple of years. Start setting aside that extra monthly amount so that when the time comes, you can pay cash for a reliable used vehicle instead of getting trapped in a car payment. Maybe you know your roof is going to need replacing soon, or your HVAC system is on its last legs. This is your chance to prepare for those big expenses instead of being blindsided by them. I also want to talk to you about the importance of understanding your full financial picture, because Social Security is just one piece of the puzzle. If you are still working part-time, you need to understand how your earnings affect your benefits. If you are under full retirement age and you earn more than a certain amount, Social Security is going to withhold some of your benefits, and that threshold changes every year. For this year, if you are under full retirement age for the entire year, you can earn up to a certain amount before Social Security starts withholding $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn above that limit. But here is the kicker. If you reach full retirement age this year, there is a different higher limit that applies only to the months before you reach that age. And then once you hit full retirement age, there is no earnings limit at all. The Social Security Administration is supposed to track all of this and adjust your benefits accordingly. But as we have seen with these corrections, the system is not perfect, and mistakes happen. Let me tell you about a call I took earlier this week from a gentleman who has been receiving Social Security for 3 years, and he just got a letter saying he owes them money because they overpaid him. He was devastated, confused, angry, and scared all at the same time. Turns out he had been working part-time, earning just a little bit over the threshold, and the Social Security Administration did not catch it right away. So, they kept paying him the full benefit amount when they should have been withholding a portion. Now, they want that money back, and he is looking at a repayment situation that is going to take a chunk out of his monthly checks for the foreseeable future. This is exactly why you need to be proactive about understanding these rules. If you are working and receiving benefits, you need to report your earnings. You need to know what the limits are, and you need to make sure the math is working out correctly, because the government will absolutely come after you for overpayments, even if the mistake was on their end. So, where does all of this leave us? It leaves us with a clear understanding that the Social Security system is complex, that changes are happening, and that you cannot afford to be passive about your own financial future. These corrections that went into effect are good news for the people who are going to receive additional money, but they are also a wake-up call that the system is not perfect, and you need to be paying attention. Check your statements, understand your benefits, know what you are entitled to, and do not be afraid to ask questions. Call Social Security. Wait on hold for however long it takes, and get answers directly from them. Visit your local office if you need to. This is your money, your retirement, your security, and nobody is going to care about it as much as you do.